I'm Tom from DIY Life Tech, and I've been experimenting with the DALL-E system from OpenAI. I just got beta access, having it generate all kinds of interesting images. And one thing I've been working on is having it generate imagined buildings and places in different architectural styles, and particularly tiny houses, because I think everybody on the internet loves a tiny house, so I figured I'd try that out. So here's a couple of examples. This is an image I created of a tiny house constructed in the brutalist style. So we've got this stark concrete, and I love that for the prompt of a tiny house, it's sort of situated it in the typical blank field that you put a tiny house in, so it's pretty accurate with that. But yeah, we've got this windowless concrete structure. It's pretty accurate for the brutalist style, I think. This one's a little more modern, but definitely, pretty photorealistic here. There's things that are a little off, like a little blurry around the window, but it's done a pretty good job of imagining a brutalist tiny house. I don't know that I'd want to live in that, but it's very architecturally accurate, I guess. Some other ones that I asked it to generate, an Art Deco style tiny house. So we've got, it's a little bit more messy in terms of the lines here, but we've got those sort of flowing deco kinds of curves here, and these sort of stark rectangular windows. And I like the design on this. For some reason, it seems to like to put them on stilts. I'm not sure why. I think all tiny houses should be on stilts. This one, though, gets a picket fence, so I guess it's a tiny house located in a neighborhood in this case. That's my deco tiny house. I also asked it to imagine a school bus converted into a Craftsman style tiny house, which I love. It's put a little gabled roof thing on top here, and otherwise it's just basically a school bus, but it's got those like paned windows that you see in the Craftsman style. So I love this converted Craftsman school bus, and there's maybe some wood paneling in here. There's also a staircase to nowhere on the side here, so a little bit weirder in terms of the rendering, but pretty neat. And then this is one of my favorites. This is a tiny house designed in the style of, and I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation, Milad Eshtiagi, who's a very famous Iranian architect, modern contemporary architect, who designs these incredible houses that go over cliffs and things. And I wondered what a tiny house by that person would look like. So I tried to enter that. And these are actually pretty architecturally neat. Like I can imagine this being an actual tiny house somebody would build, versus the brutalist one, which, yeah, maybe you could do that as a project, but I don't know that anyone would want to necessarily live in it. The other thing that I experimented with here was asking for some interiors. So first I started with just a space-efficient San Francisco apartment. You can see it's a little, again, blurry and messy on some items, but I like some of the designs on this. It definitely feels very San Francisco, light wood and everything. And I asked it for a variety of different Craftsman kitchens. And so it's got that natural wood paneling, looks like some slate or marble countertops. It's done a pretty good job here, I think, of capturing what that looks like. Maybe a hammered metal vent hood there, and this looks all very handcrafted. Even though it's weird and blurry and a little bit abstract, it's done, I think, an admirable job of imagining some cozy Craftsman-style kitchens here. So pretty neat to see that it can imagine and create these images with DALL-E of various architectural styles, particularly these high-concept tiny houses, that it gets pretty accurate, and it's nice to be able to enter a specific style and see how it changes up the design based on that.